I had a moment where it creeped back in with the fear of criticism, and I was like, "No, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done with it." I literally spoke to it like I was speaking to a person. I'm like, "I'm done with you. I'm done with your criticism, you coming up. I'm done with you coming around." I actually wrote it down on a letter. So I wrote a letter, and then I set it on fire. And I literally, as it was going up, now I have a faith, so this is how I handled it. I just said, "I'm giving it to you, God. Here's my fear of criticism. Here's my fear of poverty. Here's my fear of failure. Here is my fear of etc." And then I took it and I was going to dump the ashes down the drain. And I said, "No, I'm actually going to dump it around one of the gardens near my home." And I just like right at the front door, actually. And I just dumped it there. And I was like, as a just a little reminder, I go out that way a lot for to let my dogs out to go to the bathroom. So that I'm a reminder that that's done. It's over. Now, granted, we've had a lot of rain. Maybe it's gone, but at least I had the act of doing it, right? So,
You didn't share that with me. I love that exercise that you just did. That I love that.
At some point, you realize the numbers you're hitting aren't measuring the life you're living. Welcome to Quit the Quota. I'm Darryl and Miedico.
and I am Marya Ryan. This is the podcast for professionals, especially sales professionals, who've done what they were supposed to do and still found themselves questioning whether that version of success really fits.
Each episode features honest conversations with people who stepped outside the traditional mold, along with reflections from our own years in the corporate world.
Quit the Quota isn't about quitting ambition. It's about defining success on your terms. I'm really excited about this topic today. And our topic is, when you make a decision you think you're playing it safe, is it actually safe? And we're going to talk about it in a couple ways. We're going to talk about it from both career and personal, right? Because there's certain decisions that are really hard to make in a lot of areas of life, and you get stuck because you think, "Oh, this is the right decision to make because it's going to be it's safe for me, it's safe for my family, it's safe for my career." But is it actually safe?
Exactly. Exactly. No, I'm super excited for our topic today. Um, because the reality is that um, life is wild. Life is going to throw some curveballs, and I mean, there's plenty of movies, fictional, nonfiction, right? All the above. Books
Yeah.
on the topic. One of my favorite ones that immediately comes to mind was that quote from one of the later Rockies, where Sylvester
Mhm.
Stallone was talking about life's not how hard you can hit.
Mhm.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving, right?
Yeah.
There's a whole scene and a whole quote around that. Um,
That's
and
persistent.
that's it, right? And I was in the car the other day, and that's when I shot you that quick note, voice text
Mhm.
for anyone that was concerned about me. It was a voice text.
We do a lot of voice texting, and we can prove that it doesn't always come across the right way, so
and uh it just kind of hit me. What I wanted to talk about today was
Mhm.
that this is something that you won't get told in school. You're not, when you go through school, largely, you know, middle school, high school, college, it's all about, get good grades and then leave school, get a
Mhm.
good job. You're going to make good money and everything's going to be just great. Right. And I think what's important though, before I dive into the topic is that, there's a portion of life where that's true. Yes, everything will figure itself out. Everything in life will figure itself out. But the the thing that I really wanted to talk about today is that something that a lot of people won't tell you about, right? And that
Mhm.
is nobody's going to tell you that at some point in your life you're going to have to start over. Nobody's going to tell you that at some point you're going to have to start from scratch. Whether it's professional, whether it's personal, whether it's, a major, hurdle that you need to overcome, right? No one ever says that. And we can talk about it for purposes of this show and, you
Mhm.
know, W2 and, being laid off or wanting to
Mhm.
pursue a dream, right? We can talk
Yeah.
about that and what that entails. But it's a topic that I don't think a lot of people talk about.
I know I was never told that. I was told you're going to have trials in life. I was told you're going to have to, you're going to have some things you're going to have to work through. But it was never put to me in that way. It was never put to me like you're going to have to literally go to the bottom and work your way up. And I've experienced it in two ways. I had a divorce before this marriage, and that was a huge learning lesson. The process of rebuilding what you thought you were, what you thought your goals were, what you thought you were, who you were really, like your identity. To be honest, and lots of phenomenal good things came out of it for me in that way, and growing, and I believe for him as well, and for my family, because I had two kids from that marriage. And so, still we can all learn and be better and grow from that, should we choose to. But I wasn't prepared. You don't go into a marriage thinking, oh, this is going to last for a certain period of time and then I'm going on to the next one or whatever. That's not how you go into it. At least I didn't. Maybe some people. But then in career, it was very much like that for me, where I finally made a decision after my last go round of job rockiness that I was like, I got to do something, and it's going to be building it from scratch. I'm still in build mode. I think we should probably always be to some degree, but yeah, it's a lot. And if someone had told me you're going to have to build from scratch, I don't know how I would have received that information. I don't know. Because not with that, if they're going to tell you, oh, you got to build from scratch. Okay, great. Awesome. Can't wait. But what does it mean for you to do that? Who do you have to become? What do you have to let go? That is a big piece of the process.
That's I like that. Let's jump on that for a second and explore that, because what do you have to let go? Right?
Yeah.
I know for me personally, for me, I had to let go of the comfort and the security of a W-2, which at the time,
why do you think it feels why do you think it feels comfortable and insecure?
I mean, I think a lot of it's the way that we've been conditioned in our life, right? I think a lot of it is, like I just talked about in our opening a little bit, right? Where, these are the things that you're told
Mhm.
that you're supposed to do, right? This
Right.
is how you're supposed to live life and conduct life. And if you do these things, this is what the return will be, right? So you just kind of expect it, and like, oh, everyone does this, and this is the right path, and this is the safe path. So I think that's part of it, and I think it's the way that the system is built, honestly, too, right? So I mean, I was terrified. We could do a little, show about this later on, about like all the tactical stuff about starting a business. But one of the things I was terrified about was healthcare insurance. It was
Sure.
terrible.
So
I
you
was
have a wife
terrified
and
about it.
kids.
I got a young
Yeah.
family. Like
Right.
I need to have a W-2. I need to have a career to have healthcare insurance. How many people think that or thought that in some way? And maybe you don't think it exactly, but then you think to yourself, and if I don't go through a
Right.
company to get my health care, it's going to be astronomically expensive,
Oh, yeah.
right? That was that was a major hurdle that, now fast forward, it's incredibly easy to buy insurance on the open market, at least in the state that I am. I'm sure every state might be a little bit different, but
Mhm.
in New Hampshire, it's incredibly easy. It's not that expensive. It's relatively the same as I was paying through some of the employers that I used to work for.
Mhm.
Um, really
So
wasn't that big.
right. What are
It
you
wasn't.
afraid of then? Right.
Yeah. So I had to really get rid of, for me, a lot of preconceived notions, a lot of paradigms that were built into me from a young age, and from a grooming over years,
Mhm.
right? Um, And then I really had to make sure that I understood who I needed to become to start a business, right? At the end of the day, I don't leave at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whatever the time I leave from, in an old gig. I don't leave and, oh, that's it. That's the day. And I'll
Right.
get back to it tomorrow. When you're a business owner, sometimes you have to step
Mhm.
up at odd hours.
Yep.
And fortunately, that wasn't as big of a leap for me. As you know, in sales, with our sales careers, we've taken calls on vacations and we've taken
Yep.
calls at 10 o'clock at
Holidays.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I had to get rid of that. I had to get rid of that and I had to step out
Yeah.
of that because I
Yeah.
wouldn't have been able to grow if I hadn't. What about you?
Yeah. So for me, it's a lot of fear. I had to start to realize that I am enough. And I had to let go of the idea that I needed to rely on somebody else or something else to survive, which sounds like drastic. Oh, survival. But truthfully, I needed, you're like, oh, well, you were married, et cetera, et cetera. Well, that doesn't matter. What matters is what I'm feeling that I'm contributing, what I'm feeling, how I'm supporting my two kids and my own personal goals. Because even though you're married, if you're married or in a relationship or a partnership with someone, you still have to be a whole individual. And for those of you that, just total sidebar, we can have lots of conversations about this. You have to be whole as a person before you can actually come alongside somebody else. So I know that I had a big hole. Speaking of holes, I can't even, where is this even going? That I needed to figure out what I was and who I was. So I had to let go of the preconceived notions that I needed someone else to support me. I can support me. I can do it. And no, jumping into another corporate job is not necessarily going to give me security. Why, Marya? Well, because Marya, you've been through quite a cycle of layoffs, or I would leave a company because I could see the writing was on the wall. And now actually one of the companies I was at is no longer in existence. So talk about pressure and feeling like, oh, I'm in a secure job. No, it was this big noose that was around my neck. And when I finally started to realize that I'm made of stronger, sterner stuff, I can really be powerful if I give myself permission to.
Spot on.
And yeah, and I wasn't. And I'm trust me, it's a process that frankly I think should be continued till you're no longer on this planet. If you think you're done growing, you're dead. You might as well just box you up, put you away.
Yeah.
So for me, I am doing a ton of work, actually more on my belief system, the paradigm, right? Those habits that have been pre-programmed into me, the ones that I actually approve of, right? I approved them. I was like, here you go. I'm giving you permission to run my life. I got to reprogram and I have to do it every day, all the time. And that right there is hard because letting go of complacency, letting go of laziness, not that I was lazy, but it's lazy thinking because I would get myself in a rut where this is just the way it's supposed to be and this is the way it's supposed to become and I just accept it and take it. No. No. Yeah.
So I hear a couple themes in there for both of us, right? It's this feeling of security, this feeling of safety
Mhm.
that leads you to potentially not listen to your inner voice of what
Oh, I
you
100% I wasn't listening. 100%. I wasn't listening to my intuition. I
Mhm.
wasn't listening to my God. I wasn't listening to everything that I knew. What do you want out of life? And I'm just scratching that surface. I wasn't listening at all. I don't think anyone really, if you were to stop and think, actually, I'd like everyone to think about that for a second. Do you even know what's being told to you right now? Do you even know what that voice is saying or where that voice is coming from? Do you even what do you think it is? Can you be honest and say, "Yeah, I know, and I'm doing it." I don't know.
Yeah, it's a powerful question to ask. One of the most challenging things for human beings is to exercise the mind. A lot
Mhm.
of people do a great job exercising their bodies, right? Go to the
Mhm. Sure,
gym, go for a
sure.
run, go for a hike,
Right.
right? Stay in shape, work your muscles.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people will spend time on exercising their minds and
Mhm.
going deep into some of those questions and going deep into some of those themes so you can get better clarity on who you are, what you want,
Yep.
who you need to become, what your life looks like to reach those different dreams or
Yeah.
spots that you want to be, that to think about the challenges that you may come up against and how you're strong enough to overcome them. It takes a lot of work, takes a lot of mindset work, meditation work,
Yeah.
and not a lot of people do that. um and that's crucial, and hopefully sharing these stories and talking through this on our show is helping a lot of people. So I think the big thing to me is, and this is kind of my takeaway now from it, is that no one's going to tell you that at some point in your life you're going to have to start from scratch. In many cases, you're put into a position typically where starting from scratch is forced upon you.
Yep.
It gets to a point, or in the case of a job, right? I just could still say it actually. It gets to a point where you have that cataclysmic event,
Yep.
right? That defining moment where either you make the decision, this job is no longer for me, man. I can't do this anymore, right? And I had this idea, right? Or, and this is typically what happens more often, is that you have a major emotional event in the way of, for the world of W-2s, where you're laid
Mhm.
off or fired.
Right.
So my whole thing is, and as I was thinking through this theme that we're talking through today, is no one's going to tell you that at some point you're going to have to redefine your life. You're going to have to start from scratch. You're going to have to start from the ground and build up again. No one's going to tell you that. Here I am. Here we are telling you that because we've lived it.
Yeah.
And my thing is, why not do it on your terms?
What does that mean, Darryl?
So I didn't do it on my terms. And I look back and I say, well, shoot, how much more, and everything happens for a reason. The journey happens for why it does. The things that I learned, I had to learn those to
Sure.
prepare me for the moment, right? So, I look back at my career and I became a better leader because of my managerial roles in other companies.
Mhm.
And had I left on my own terms at that moment, then maybe I wouldn't have had those experiences. Maybe I would have found them. I don't know, right? Like that's the whole fun
Right.
thing about this, right? I don't you don't benefit by looking into the past. You benefit by looking into the future, right? Whatever has happened up to this point has prepared you for this moment. Okay? Whether whatever religion you believe in, okay, or if you don't believe in a religion, um there's a universal energy, right? You can tie that to religion if you want to tie that to religion. You can tie that to God if you believe in God. Um, that universal energy, okay, that's what we'll use to describe this. That universal energy is going to give you everything that you need to prepare you for where you are right now in life. So, if you have a calling, if you have this feeling in your gut that you should do something, but the fear creeps in, and the fear says, "Oh, I don't know," right?
Mhm. Yep.
I can promise you that Generally speaking, it's a lot easier to do things on your terms
Mhm.
versus being thrown into it.
Right.
So if you're in that moment right now, that's what I want to talk through, right? I think that's the exciting part for me is we know for certain that everyone, if it hasn't happened to you already, it will, that you will have this time in your life where you got to start from scratch. In the world of professional business,
Mhm.
entrepreneurship, that transition, why not today? Why not now? Why not on your terms?
Ask yourself that question. Okay, so now I have this inkling, right? So we'll role play here. So I have this inkling, I have this desire, I have this burning sensation, or maybe it's not. It's just like that quiet voice that just keeps popping forward. And you had your unfortunate emotional moment to maybe have you start from scratch. Like I said, it could be personal, it could be professional, but really we're talking more professionally here. Um what would be the next step? Because it's such a hit sometimes, and that's the biggest thing to me at first, that if I really think back, it is a hit to who I am. I started to adopt the feelings of self-loathing, almost. Self-worth was, I don't even know where that was. Self-esteem, all this stuff. Granted, I understand now that I gave that power away. But okay, now what? So this moment happens. Now we're at the bottom and we got to rebuild, baby. What do we do first, do you think?
I mean, I think the first thing for me, but everyone's a little bit different. So I'll just talk through me first and hopefully it resonates and we can kind of banter it back and forth. I've got a very athletic background, right? A lot of sports
Mhm.
growing up, and I'm still very much involved in sports.
Mhm.
Um, it's a competitive drive for me,
Mhm.
right? Where I've been down in baseball games, I've been down in football
Mhm.
games as a coach, as an athlete. Um, but I'm not out until the final pitch. I'm not out until the clock hits
Mhm.
zero, right? Um, so so for me, with that, again, everything up till now has prepared me for this moment, right? So for
Right?
me, when that hit, that was just the equivalent of the opposing team putting up 10 runs in the sixth inning, right? In a best of seven series, and that was game three, right? Because I'm probably about halfway through my life, right? So like that's all that was to me, right? It was like, oh, oh boy, that woke me
Right.
up, right?
Mhm.
Um, so for me in that moment, it was all right, get out of the inning, like
Right, right.
stop the bleeding, just get the heck out of here, get out of the inning.
Move the pitcher.
Yep. Change something up, right? And then, oh,
Mhm.
okay, well now I get to go back on offense. You had your chance. Okay. You took your swings, you scored your runs. I'm currently
Yeah, I'm
down.
going.
I'm currently laid off.
Right.
Now it's my chance.
Yeah.
All right.
I
And
love that.
wait till you see what I'm gonna do. Right.
Love that.
So I
It's all
think
it's almost creating I heard actually uh Mike Shogren was sharing this with us when we did the podcast, is that when he was playing lacrosse and he put on his lacrosse helmet, he turned into somebody else. It's almost like taking on that, like forcing yourself to take on that persona of,
yeah.
you don't, you may have whipped me a few times, but you didn't take me out.
Yes.
You brought me down to my knees, but I'm going to stand back up.
Yeah. And then so there was that, right? There's a little bit of that internal being for me. But then also too, and I did this, call it me unintentionally, but I know now that it was a phenomenal technique and now it works. I still use it now when I do new things, right? Is I
Mhm.
put the intention out there and I say, I'm doing this.
Mhm. Mhm.
So when I started this business, I went to Ashley first. And I said to Ashley, I said, hey, I want to start this business. I want to join this mastermind, this coaching program that's going to help me
Mhm.
develop and start this business. hey, I know I just got laid off, but is it okay if I invest a sizable amount of money into this coaching program? And she just looked at me and she just said, and she's Ashley's phenomenal for this type of stuff. And she just said to me, she's just like, well, are you going to go, basically like, you're going to go all in?
Right.
And, do you believe that this is the path for us?
Right.
Right. And that it's going to reward us. And at the time, all I wanted, I didn't start this business to be an entrepreneur and to have a business. At the time, the goal of the business was simply just to have a third income. That's all it was. So I'm like, yeah, no, I know I can do that. Right. Like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it. So I
So
had,
wait, so you got laid off.
yeah,
Then this started, you in your head, you were like, okay, I'm gonna go get another W-2, but I want another income on top of it.
correct.
Right. She was a
Correct.
nurse at the time.
Yes. And Ashley was a
Right. Okay.
nurse.
So did you hear that, guys? He was still planning on going back to corporate America.
Yes.
So interesting.
Well, go back to those paradigms, just to kind of go
Yeah.
back to that. Like, those paradigms are strong. Like, I was not there mentally yet. I couldn't release the tether. Right.
Ooh,
And
that's a good visual.
I still have, but I had at the time, a decent savings, a decent 401k, like,
Yeah.
like,
Good healthcare and other things.
well, there was a runway. There was a runway that if I truly wanted to break free, I could have. And I could have went all in. I had probably at the time, I don't know, over a year.
Right.
Like, definitely over a year if you count your 401k.
Rainy day fund.
Yeah, plenty of money. Like,
Yep.
so it wasn't that. It was just, it's so ingrained in you from day one that this is what you're supposed to do and this is safe. And like, the amount of people that I talk to that this resonates with, it's like, wow, Darryl, I love what you're doing. People I used to work with, I love what you're doing. I could never do that. And I go, why can't you? And then they walk me through all the stuff that we're talking about right now. And I'm like, you can do it. Like, I'm not anything special. Like, the only difference is, right, is that, and this is where it kind of came together. The only difference is I played up this. Yeah, I didn't think of it exactly like a baseball game, but I played up like this. Okay, you had your shot. Now here's mine. Here, let's go. Let's get into the ring.
Mhm.
Let's see. Let's let this play out. So I had that. Then I set the intention, and I promised, and I said, "Yep, this is the way. This is gonna work. This is what we're doing, and I'm gonna make it work. I am going to create at the time. I'm going to create a third income, so that way, if one of us is ever laid off, or you know what, sometimes you just hate your boss, right? If I ever want to leave my job, I don't feel like I'm tethered. I've used that word again. I don't feel like I'm tethered. I can. Hey, I'm a free agent. I don't need this job. I don't have to be here. So if I don't like how you treat me, if I don't like how you treat my coworkers, if I don't like
I can say, see ya.
I can just say, see ya. Can't do that when I don't have a third income.
Right.
Can't do that. Right. So that was the initial goal. And I had this internal fight that I was manufacturing in my head. Then I had set the intention that I'm doing this with those that I love and those that I care about. And then I was a part of this mastermind, this coaching program that put me around like-minded people, right? So I up-leveled my network, right? Because my existing network, a lot of them didn't get it. A lot of them were like, you're doing what? Are you out of your mind? So I had to change my network.
You had to change your environment.
Yep. And then it was like, oh, like you're not, they no one ever said this, but you've kind of felt this way. It's like, oh, you don't already have 20 properties in your portfolio. Like, what's wrong with you, right? You're still waiting to get your first, right? So it was like, all right, it's like, okay, well, those are my pace setters. They're doing it, so it can be done, right? So I had the motivation, the fight. I set the intention with those that I care about. I had the environment. And then I just kind of got pissed off and I got a little crazy. and I and I and I
We give permission for that too. A little crazy is a good thing.
and I got a W-2, another one pretty quickly, and I was at night, like I can't tell you the amount of sleepless nights that I had just building this thing. And what I was doing was I was working late at night,
Mhm.
building my prospecting list, because at the time all I need clients. I don't have
Yeah.
to be I don't have to be a great operator right now. I just have to sell clients. That's it. I can deal with the rest later. So I was completely and utterly focused on taking my skills as a salesperson
Mhm.
and saying, I'm just going to go find clients. And at night, I was building my lists. And then, fortunately, in this business, in the evening, you can send emails. So I was doing that.
Yep.
And then if I had to hop on a call, I was typically hopping on a call during my lunch hour. Or if I didn't have to hop, I was just doing phone calls during my lunch hour. Because I did want to respect the employer that I was working for.
Of course, yeah.
So I did that for about a year. And then, push kind of came to shove where it's like, I don't need this anymore. I don't have to be
Right.
here. I wasn't completely thrilled with what I was doing.
Mhm.
So I ended up leaving that. And the really cool thing was, and this is maybe for a different episode, a few months after I left that gig and I was all in on Stay Space. Stay Space, I mean, it's amazing. Once you go all in, how quick it changed. Like it was like I was kind of in this range of, I don't even know what it was. Maybe I was making maybe $60,000 a year, $70,000 a year personally, in the business. Side hustle, third income, check.
Fantastic.
Right?
Fantastic. Yeah. Met that need or want,
Yep.
desire. Yeah.
I made the jump leaving the W-2 really before I was ready. And I went from that 60 to 70 to like approaching 200 in like 6 months, like my run rate. Like but my run
Yeah.
rate,
Yeah.
the amount of homes that I was able to then convert and get onboarded and do all
Mhm.
that, like it happened quick.
Which is
And
awesome.
that was probably about a 6-month period of like it just came.
Yep.
And within that 6 months, I had a leader from an old job who reached out to me. He was starting at a new company and said, "Hey, I need a sales guy. I need a new guy over here." And I'm like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm happy with what I'm doing." It was such a powerful feeling to be able to just to say that, right? And he's like, "No, I need someone. I need someone." I go, "Dude, I can't do it. Like, I can't give you the time. I just
Right.
can't. I appreciate you calling and asking. I really do, but I'm happy with what I'm doing. I can't help you."
Mhm.
He goes, "Well, how much time can you give me?" And now I'm just like, I don't know, 10 hours a week. Cause I'm trying to, I'm hoping he
Yeah.
says no. Like, no, all right,
Yeah.
that's not going to, he goes, "Okay, I can live with that." He goes, "How much you need?" I threw out a crazy amount of money for 10 hours a week. And he's like, I can make that work. I think I can make, he goes, "I just need someone to come in with your Rolodex, with your domain knowledge, with your sales knowledge and just sell." And he goes, he goes, "You can do that." He goes, "Give me a few deals, close a few deals in those 10 hours a week." I'm like, "Okay."
Okay. Sounds
I
very
mean,
interesting.
all right. I had that job for about a year until they caught on to me. So what ended up happening was he hooked me up to one of his leaders, and I never told anyone what I wasn't doing. They knew what I was doing. There were three managers that reported up to him, and I worked underneath one of
Mhm.
them. And all three interviewed me. I told all three what I was doing. Two were like, "Hell no, I don't want this guy.
Yep.
He's not gonna be committed." And I was okay with that.
Right. Of course.
And then one guy was like, he was smart, right? He's like, "Okay, so you know where the bodies are buried. You know who to call,
Yep.
right?" Like he's like, "Yeah, okay." I'm like, and I told him, I'm like, "I'm not the guy who's gonna give you call metrics." I'm
Nope.
like, "I'm gonna
No,
call.
10 hours a week.
Yeah, no, heck no." I said, "I'm going to call, these 50 companies that I did deals with in my previous life. I know these guys. I'm going to
Yep.
pitch our services. They're either going to say yes or say no, that they're
Yep.
interested. And if they all say no, I'm like, then I'm not going to go out and prospect. I'm just not going to do it. I'm prospecting for my company." And he respected the hell out of it. I ended up getting 2 deals. I never forget. I got 2 deals through my own networks, which were pretty good sized deals. Then he gave me a lead because he knew I could convert, I could close,
Yep.
I could get
Yep.
it across the finish line. I closed 3 deals like in the first, 4 months, which was like, whoa, this guy,
Yeah.
and then,
Especially with 10 hours a week.
but then
They were like, wow,
because I
magic.
wasn't prospecting, right? Like eventually the
Yeah.
chickens come home to roost, right?
Yeah, of
So,
course.
so
It,
that leader, unfortunately, he had to leave the business.
yeah.
I had to report to another guy.
The guy that didn't want you to begin with.
Exactly, exactly. And I was out within a year. They're like, all right, you
Yeah.
gotta go. Time
And you're
for
like,
you
thank God, I'll see you. It's hysterical.
to. So
We're not saying everyone should do this, by the way, but
no. But the
great
point is
story.
on the whole thing, right? Is that all of that came about, right? Because I didn't need the W-2. I didn't need the job,
Yeah.
right? And it was incredibly empowering. And that's what I want to preach for others. That's what I want others to be able to do, is that to live life by your design.
And do it before something happens if you can. Like obvious, yes, an emotional event happens, but if you can get to that stage and already have at least an idea of where you're going. So if you're already at the emotional event, you're like, you guys, please, this is all magic and you guys, this is all like luck. No, it is not. I'm going to say that, number one. And number two, just stop for 1 second and just say a word of gratitude. I know that sounds crazy, but just be like, thank you that I have a moment to think. I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to know what to do next, but take a second. Actually, take more than that. Take 30 minutes, take out a piece of paper. Don't do it on a computer, don't do it on your phone, pen to paper. Okay? And I want you to sit there and just write out things that you love, maybe things that you're like, if I could, I would do this. Well, this might be if I could. This might be your could. Take the opportunity to look and to see and to think and to just dream for a little bit. Just to say, okay, I don't know, maybe you're someone who wants to open a coffee shop. I don't care what it is, because if you're meant to do something, it's going to be absolutely amazing. And then tell us where it is, because we'll come visit. But that is something that you need to do. So if you're like, okay, step one, you're like, great. Because I'm telling you, what I I didn't do that. I did not have somebody say, pause, take a breath. I've had people say, oh, it's going to be all right. Sure. The obligatory, it's okay. Let me pat you on the back. It's going to be fine. But I didn't have somebody stop and say, okay, but do you really want to do this again? Heck no. I don't want to do this again. I was afraid to actually say those words. Do you know why? Because I felt like I was being irresponsible. If I said, I don't want this corporate job again, I'm irresponsible. I don't think I've actually ever said that out loud, but that is how I felt. That is how I felt. I can't say that. So take a second. Irresponsible? That's insane.
That was probably from your fear of criticism. Correct me if you think I'm wrong, but
No, you're not wrong at all.
I don't think
We
that
actually
was.
we just talked about criticism the other day.
Yeah.
And I did a really cool exercise, and I'm going to explain that to people. People might think I'm nuts, but that's okay. Welcome to the channel. We're a little crazy.
A little crazy. But it's so powerful, right?
Yeah.
It's so powerful because
Yeah.
I would imagine you personally, if you really went deep into it, you didn't feel necessarily irresponsible. It was the perception by others that would have
Yeah.
made you feel like you were irresponsible.
Oh, no, you absolutely hit the nail on the head. Because if you've got bills to pay, you've got people to take care of, you've got responsibilities. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. But I can do it a different way. And I'm just scratching the surface. There is so much to come. And I am getting more and more excited. And so the other day I had a moment where it creeped back in with the fear of criticism. And I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done with it. I literally spoke to it like I was speaking to a person. I'm like, I'm done with you. I'm done with your criticism, you coming up. I'm done with you coming around. I actually wrote it down on a letter.
Love it.
And I wrote it to myself as I was a little kid, because I think it probably started there. And I was
Mhm.
like, why do I always care? And then I'm also kind of also the same type of person that like doesn't care what people think. I'm a weird mix. I'm a very tall woman, and a tall woman can be off-putting. Just gonna say, like, I had so many people saying, "Why are you wearing heels? You're so tall." And I never shrunk at that. That's one thing that I'm like, I don't care if you think I'm tall. Yeah, I'm 6'3" in heels. Deal with it. Like, just using it as an example. But then at the same time, I have this something where I'm afraid of either disappointment or what other people think, right? Pigeonholed me. So I wrote a letter and then I set it on fire. And I literally, as it was going up, now I have a faith. So this is how I handled it. I just said, I'm giving it to you, God. Here's my fear of criticism. Here's my fear of poverty. Here's my fear of failure. Here is my fear of etc. And then I took it and I was going to dump the ashes down the drain. And I said, no, I'm actually going to dump it around one of the gardens near my home. And I just like right at the front door, actually. And I just dumped it there. And I was like, as a just a little reminder, I go out that way a lot for to let my dogs out to go to the bathroom. So that I'm a reminder that that's done. It's over. Now, granted, we've had a lot of rain. Maybe it's gone, but at least I had the act of doing it. Right. So
You didn't share that with me. I love that exercise that you just did with that. I love that.
it was just day before yesterday. Like, yeah. I
That's
was like, no,
outstanding.
that's it. I can't. I'm done. I'm putting the stop to it. And you gotta have to get that way
You do.
too.
Well, so that was right. And this is the crazy thing for anyone on that's listening, right? Here's the crazy thing about this. Your fears, these paradigms, right? They were programmed. You can unprogram them, okay?
Yes. Yes, you can.
However, they never go away. You just become more aware of them,
Yeah.
okay?
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, it's human nature. It's
Yeah.
human nature to have fear,
Sure.
okay? You become more aware of them. You'll have less fear. The
Mhm.
more that you start to attack, overcome, accomplish, right? The more that you do it, you'll have less and less fear, and you'll get more and more confidence, and you'll trust your intuition more.
Mhm.
It's amazing how it happens. And if you are progressively thinking, right, and pushing
Mhm.
yourself, then you're going to consistently say, well, let me go try something else. Let me go try something else that's new, right? And that fear, that situation will come up again, but in a different way, right? So as an example, if anyone that's ever bought a home, right? So you bought a home. Think about how terrifying that was the first time that you did it,
Yeah.
right? And then maybe you did another one, okay, or maybe you
Mhm.
haven't. But if you had to do another one, a little less terrifying. You know the process, right? And it's like I got this. But can you imagine if you then had to go and say buy a 15 unit multi-use space with commercial and residential units, right?
Brand new set of fears come screaming right in front of you.
And this is something for me that I would love to do. I want to do it, right? I'm going to do it. But the reality is that
Hear
you
that,
better
everybody? He's calling it into being.
yep. But you better believe that when I get there, that those fears will start to raise their ugly heads. They absolutely will. And I will have to be aware of them. I will have to utilize techniques to overcome them.
Right.
Um, and I will.
Yep.
And it won't be sunshine, puppy dogs, and rainbows all the way through it. I'll have to
No.
learn as I go, and I'll have to partner with great people who have done it before, right? Who, not how, and ask for their counsel, and in some cases, hire them for their services, right? All that's
Mhm.
okay to make a deal happen to get across the finish line. Um, those fears will never go away. But the important thing here is acknowledging them,
Yeah.
understanding them, and then
Mhm.
saying, and this is what I loved about what you did. Very similar, I think, to what I did back when I didn't even know when I was doing it, right? How I explained with the baseball
Yeah.
game, like in my
Yeah.
head, right? We're
Yeah.
like, okay, you may even say it out loud. You had your shot.
You had your shot. I like that though. You had your shot.
You had your inning. You put up your
Yep.
runs. However
Yep.
you need to relate it for you, right? You did it. Now watch this. Here's my turn, right? And for you, it was literally
I'm done.
speaking it. I am done
I'm
with this
done
fear
with
of
you.
criticism. You're
I'm
done.
done.
You're gone. And in
I'm done
physically
with it.
writing it and burning it. Oh,
Yeah.
Mwah.
I did. And as it's like the smoke's going up and I put it in like a little glass bowl that I could stick outside and I'm watching it go and I was like, it was the most interesting. I mean, I've done like, oh, you write your whatever goals and throw it in. Like, there's things that I've done, but this was very intentional because I
Yeah.
have a lot of cool stuff that I'm working on and that I'm looking towards. And I was like, if I'm going to get there, this has to be over. And yes, like you said, it will rear its head, but at least I'm smarter now to be like, no, you don't have the power anymore. And if you take the time, if you're at a moment where you're trying to decide if I'm going to choose to be safe or if you're getting ahead of the game, start to think, just start to write down ideas, start to think about what could be and focus on that and not worry too much about the how. That's another big thing that I think I struggled with too is like,
Yeah.
how is this going to happen? And how am I going to find this? And how am I going to do that? Don't ask the how. Focus on what do you actually want? Spend a lot of time with that all the time, every day. Just, oh, I'm this coffee shop. I don't know. You're making your coffee in your kitchen. Pretend you're doing it at the counter. I just don't why. I must need a cup of coffee. It's coffee on the brain.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so powerful. And I think you could probably hear that we're excited about it because you can rebuild. You can rebuild and be better. And it's because sometimes I think it's like, oh, like for example, you brought up like physical activity and your body and staying in shape. And it's funny because you sit there and you go, oh, well, I used to, when I was like whatever age, when a few years ago before COVID or whatever, I want to get back to that. No, stop saying that. I want to rebuild me into better me now. And you can do it.
And you can do it on your terms.
On your terms. It's right. It's your terms. That's why you got to write it down. What does that mean to you? Because what it means to me versus what it means to Darryl, just the two of us, it's different.
Yeah. You don't have to be forced into it. Your journey is your journey. However you get there, you get there. Yeah. Right? But you don't have to be forced into it. Your life, there will be I think this was a great topic today. I really, really do. I had so much fun with this one. Yeah. I think to kind of bring it around, I got some thoughts, and then anything that you have on it too, Marya, please. Yeah. You don't have to wait for the major emotional event. You can do this on your terms, but it's going to require some of these maybe a little out there kooky things that we talk about where you have to address your demons. You have to address your fears.
Yep.
There's a few different techniques that you can do it. But it keeps coming back to that at some point in your life, you will have to start from scratch. You will have to start from the ground up.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier to do when it's on your terms. You just have to be very methodical and very deliberate about what you do and how you do it. So that's my thought around that. And anyone that needs help with that, I would love to help them.
Yeah.
Love to help with that.
Don't wait. That's when I say that I've wasted time, and some people may say, oh, you learned lessons and oh, it's great and blah. Yeah. Okay. But I did. I don't want that. If you can get in on this game earlier on before, that's what I recommend. And all it requires is you to just take out the freaking AirPods, stop scrolling, turn off the sitting there watching 500 episodes of whatever show just dropped, and think. Just think. Just let your imagination run wild. And you might be really interested to see what comes out of there. You may shock yourself, in fact, because I know I have. But yeah, awesome. I hope this was so helpful. Please reach out if you want help. You know where you can reach us. It's going to be in the show notes below. Share your stories. Share how you are either really close to quitting your quota, have ideas on how to do it, want just a little more inspiration, or thoughts are like, hey, okay, I'm here, but now what? We have a ton of ways that we can support you with that. And really, we just like hearing about what's going on and how you did it. Did you open a coffee shop? Did you open up a bike shop? Are you an entrepreneur of, I don't know, widgets? I don't know. Whatever it is. I don't care. Is it what you want? We want to hear.
We've got some great guests lined up, and
can't wait.
would love for even more guests. So if this
Oh,
content
yeah,
is speaking
sure.
to you, and if you are making this jump or on the fringe of making this jump and you want to be a guest, reach out.
Please reach out. We would love, love, love to have you because that's where the crux of it is. We want to hear the stories and other people can understand. Like you can hear us, but there's more of us out there. So awesome. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
We'd love to hear your story on how you quit the quota. So please reach out so we can feature your story.